Welcome to the More Life Podcast, where creatives, problem solvers, and entrepreneurs talk about squeezing more out and finding meaning in this crazy thing we call life. Let's dive in. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the More Life Podcast. I am your host, Bart Anestin, if you're new around here. And today we're going to be talking about leading into tough decisions as a leader. And before we do that, I'm going to need your help. We've been posting so much content on our YouTube channel, but I need you guys to subscribe. So if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, please subscribe to the channel. It does make a huge difference to help us, continue to make these episodes, continue to help us thrive on Patreon and on, Spotify and on YouTube, all the things, the social media things. If you like the content, please support us in the easiest way possible by showing likes, comments, and subscribing. Okay, let's dive right into this topic because it's something that I'm still grasping. It's not something that's fully formed, but I thought it'd be a great topic for us to talk about on the show. Firstly, let's just break down something that I've heard years ago and didn't quite get a chance to understand until I was, further into my business. And that's the paradigm of a leader. There's two different ways you can think of it. There is the entrepreneur, or solopreneur, whatever it is, when you're just kind of doing everything. And then there's a CEO. You got to picture this like a pyramid. When you're an entrepreneur, you're kind of like at the top of the pyramid. And you're basically doing all the work, as we very much know is tough. But anybody could do that work. We can swap out another person with the same skill sets and drive, and all of that work can still be accomplished and the end results would still be met. And then there is the CEO. The CEO is a CEO because he has built leaders around him, not just workers, but leaders. And so it's an inverted pyramid. And the CEO sits at the bottom, same position, but the pyramid's been flipped upside down. The paradigm has been shifted. And the people actually are on top because they are responsible to the leader is responsible for them, and they are responsible to him or her. And in my case, it's a he. But you might have seen or heard that idea or concept many different ways, or maybe you were smart enough to think about that on your own. But the role of a leader is to serve the people that work for him. And as an entrepreneur does not necessarily mean that you're a leader. It means that you are driven with a overall mission that you have dedicated your vocation to, your time to do. You can be a successful entrepreneur or creator, let's say a social media creator, as a single entity. But to be a leader and to be a CEO and to build a business is going to require you to think broader and to think deeper. So what does this mean in terms of making tough decisions? People are built on their leaders. And as a leader, when I now have to make decisions, it affects the people that I'm around. And in turn, I have to limit certain aspects of myself to elevate other people around me. This is something that I've seen happen where I was fortunate enough to work for somebody like this, who, even though they had lots of skills, they had lots of ideas, and they knew that they could probably do not all, but most aspects of everyone's job at the meeting. They sat quiet and they helped the team come to ideas or to brainstorm or to start to think of things on their own. This is important because if you want to be a leader that's in complete control in terms of your effectiveness and your time, your productivity, you got to be willing to trust people to make good decisions. Not your decisions, but good decisions. And in turn, they're trusting you to not risk it all, and make poor decisions that would affect them as well. There is that dual dependency. Is there more leverage for a CEO? 100%.
We get paid more. You can fire people. It's easier to replace people that are on your team. But like we talked about last week, there are many, many benefits to having people that have tenureship to your company, that understand vision and that can hold their own weight, and kind of help you push the needle forward. So, in terms of making decisions, there's this risk factor. And this risk factor is kind of like, the more I choose to be reserved with risk, the less creative I can be. And for me as a creative, this is something that I've felt very early on, the moment we started hiring somebody. I can't take crazy risks because I'm responsible to our employees. But on top of that, the more risks I don't take, the more safe I play it, it limits how much creativity or risk I want to be able to take in my endeavors. Meaning, where I would do like a passion project, and spend 20 hours out of a week, 100 hours out of a month on, it doesn't make sense anymore because I not only need to pay for my bills, but I have to pay for, our developer, our designers, our art director. I have to make sure that I'm paying them as well. You have to be able to count the cost of what that's going to look like for you, and where the line is, where I'm like, I still need to do a little bit of risk analysis, or do I still need to play a little bit more conservative with my business? Think of it this way: it's easier to mess up when you're a small entity, when you're a solo entity, because the onus is all on you, and the buck stops with you, and the people that are affected, it's just you. But if you make decisions that affect other people, number one, if you have other people, your decisions have more weight, meaning that they are bigger decisions. And number two, the people that are going to be affected by them is going to be more than one, it's going to be multiples. So it kind of adds another layer of, I don't know, it's another layer of something that you have to process when you're making certain types of decisions, especially like investments, about money, about business types of transactions you want to make, about direction of the company. It has to be something that's sustainable for the entire company and not just for you. I know CEOs often have, like parachutes or whatnot, but exit strategies and stuff like that. But a true leader, a true captain stays on the ship, helps the people on board. At least that's the way I see it. I know there are some more ruthless types of leaders that are going to be, every person for themselves, fend for yourself, get where you need to go, be where you need to be. I'll see you on this other side if you make it, type of thing. But I do genuinely believe there's that added layer for risk when we're talking about making tough decisions at work. Imagine your business journey as a mountain. Every time you make a poor decision, you take the easy way out. You don't lean into those tough decisions. You dig a hole on the side of that mountain, deeper and deeper and deeper. Instead, if you were to make the tough decisions, face adversity head on, have those tough conversations, you will maybe have a dip down and come back up, dip down, come back up, dip down, come back up, but you're still going forward up this mountain. But the bad decision just digs you deeper into a hole here. And now you have to dig yourself out of the hole to get back on track. There have been so many moments where I have made a poor decision and had to dig myself out. And I wish I had somebody who could shake me a little bit and be like, listen, no matter what, you got to pay for this in the end. Either you get paid, either you're going to pay for it by going through the tough times, or you're going to pay for it by crawling out of the hole. After now that I've done so many months and years and weeks of leading a team, it is so much more worth it to face the tough times than to dig out of a hole. One bad decision doesn't mean you have to make the next bad decision. All you have to do is the next right step to kind of get you back on track. So when there is something that is tough, that is challenging, this is what I do. I think about, what does my business need from me? I'm always hardest on myself. I'm always the person who is thinking, what should I be doing better? How could I be, if there's a problem, immediate blame first goes to me. And then obviously, if there's other blame to go around, we have other conversations with different types of people about like what went wrong. But I always look at it from, how did I lead this person poorly to get them to here, or was this just a human error or whatever? But what does the business need from me? And I'm a stickler for us, anyways, about our purpose, our mission, and our vision. We just trying to hone in on that. What is our intended purpose of existing on this planet, and how do we see ourselves in that world, and how are we going to accomplish that goal in that world? That's really what I'm trying to understand or clarify or put a lens on to process. Because when we face hard times or have tough decisions that we have to face, that's what I'm thinking of. What does the business need from me? Does it need for me to be pushing, meaning being harder on people, or expecting more, or encouraging more? Does it need me to be relenting? Say, listen, let's live in these new SOPs. Let's let people have a chance to understand and get their bearings. All those things require us to have a good sense of clarity on what the risk is against our intended mission, purpose, and vision. So the challenge that I have for anyone who's listening to this, if you've made it even this far, is you have to decide, are you going to be the person who is willing to sacrifice some control, some creativity, some whatever, to be able to mitigate risk? And I don't know if I'm doing a great job explaining this, and I don't know if this is, the greatest episode of the podcast ever, but it is something that I'm challenging myself with, that I'm chewing on a lot, is how risky can I afford to be with the types of clients that I work with the type of procedures and legal, financial decisions that need to be made. Are these things that I can take into consideration to help the team move forward, or is it more just self-serving? Because I do think that the risk that you take affects how you lean into these tough decisions. Lastly, before we end this melancholy podcast, tough decisions don't necessarily have to be done alone. And I'm very fortunate to have people who are smarter than me be able to help me navigate through tough times. And tough is, subjective to most people. Tough can be, I lost a deal worth $100. Tough can be, I lost a deal worth $1 million. I don't know what tough is for you. All I know is Biggie Small says, more money, more problems. If you are going through a tough season or a tough decision-making moment in your life, this is where you need to have the right kind of people around you, and you just need one. Someone who can listen and provide perspective and maybe coach them before you enter into a tough time, to say, hey, this is the most important thing. Our purpose, our mission, and our vision. These are the most important things to the company. And then whenever a tough time comes around, tough decisions come around, and you talk to them, remind them that this what, the role is in this. Listen, put everything I say against what I said our mission, purpose, vision is, and help me find clarity towards what does the business actually need. That's the difference between a CEO and an entrepreneur. Because there is so little risk, an entrepreneur is more liable to take the easy way out. But when you have liability, you have to make conscious decisions to help move the company, not just yourself, but move the company's interests forward no matter what. All right, guys. This has been the More Life Podcast. I've been Bart. Peace out.